Do you guys want my secrets on how I grow these plants like this with big old stalks? Like ones like this, right? They're all pretty decent size. But even going from here over to here, they're all still good size. Great plants. Anyone know my secrets, right? I don't know how many of you guys are aware of this, but this is only my third grow. Really my second real one. Last one was the real one where like I used a tent, I had my VPD or the humidity, good light. I've had my auto pots and whatnot. Before that, I just had a plant outside in a 5-gallon pot. Later, a 15-gallon pot outside. I got 6 ounces from that plant. I don't know how many times I've told this story, but I didn't do much. I watered it. I started to feed it maybe when it was in the flower, when I started seeing leaves start to yellow. But besides that, I just watered it, and the plant gave me the 6 ounces. It was a great plant. I really don't have any complaints. It tasted good, smoked good. And then I don't know how many of you guys have seen my last grow, but it was just this tent pretty much. I had another few over here, and it still also did well for my first real grow, first time indoor with a tent and ventilation or any of this stuff. That was all a learning curve. Along with nutrients and what to use in nutrients and pHing, I didn't do any of that even when I was watering my first plant. But anyway, let's talk about what I do in order to get plants like this. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to get some good seeds. I like to use North Atlantic Seed Co. or Seed Supreme, Fast Buds. I haven't used Barney's, but there's a lot of good breeds out there. And genetics is going to be, if not the most important thing for your plant, to determine your size and how good it's going to be in its quality. So you want to start out with good genetics. Now, growing outdoors, you obviously don't need a tent. You don't need the ventilation, any of that stuff. Outdoors, it just helps have like a windbreak. You can fertilize and feed your plants. You can still defoliate. You can still trade them if you want to. But indoors, it's different. If you're indoors, you need to keep track of your humidity. Have a dehumidifier. In the early stages of vegetation, like from seed, when your plants are like just sprouts, little things, they like humidity to be around 75% or so. They like a lot of humidity. And then you start getting into veg a little bit, and you can start to turn it down just a little bit. I usually shoot for a thing like 60 while I'm in veg, 60%. My tents themselves usually stay around 80 degrees along with my lights. The lights heat up the whole area. Now, me personally, I like to have at least 200 watts or so or around there on each plant. That way I make sure that each plant is getting more than enough. Well, generally, sometimes I can even use more than that. But this is my smallest light. I don't think that's why this plant's the smallest. This whole plant's been kind of funky. But I'm going to say the genetics play a big part in why that one back there is so short compared to some of these other ones. Because that's a 260 watt light. And that's a 200 watt light back there. These three are all from Fexita. Great cheap lights off of Amazon. They work great. They just don't have an app or anything where you can control them. They don't link with anything. They're just plug and play. They have a dimmer on them. Then I have this 200 watt SF2000, which is a 200 watt light from Spider Farmer. And that's going to allow you to use the controller and the AC5 up here, smart plug controller, and you can automate everything a little bit. You can make the fans go on, you can do your timing and everything, instead of having to use a manual timer like I have to use on these. But it seems like a lot of people don't understand that having the right humidity while your plant's growing and in those certain stages helps those plants grow optimal and grow like full speed. If you're in veg and your humidity is too low, your plants just aren't going to want to grow very fast. Each tent has their own humidifier, at least mine do. Then I have a dehumidifier outside that controls the air out here, keeping the humidity down out here. Having a good setup or a good tent like the Spider Farmer tent, it's good quality. It's great for the money, but that's also going to help reflect the light and stuff. But even these plants over here that are grown, well, that one was grown inside this dry tent here, which is reflective, is another grow tent. This one wasn't. It's not necessary. You don't really have to have the light reflecting back, but it does help the plants and it helps you not waste so much power, because that light's going to the plants or it's bouncing off the wall and then to the plants. And when you don't have that reflectiveness around it, like over here, that light doesn't bounce off the walls anymore over here. and go back to the plants like it does inside the tent. But having good lighting is a must. Whether it's one of these cheaper Fexitas or a Spider Farmer, good lighting is going to help your plants grow. I see people still trying to grow with like a 35 watt big round, looks like a floodlight almost, or they'll be using a regular house bulb. Those don't necessarily work, at least not to the equivalent of a actual grow light majority of the time. Plus that 35 watts isn't enough for even one plant, because I would want at least 130 to 200 watts per plant. And if your plants don't get that, they're obviously going to be a little bit smaller. If you're new to gardening, one of the easiest, or not, if you're new to gardening, one of the hardest things for a lot of people to learn is when and how much to water and feed your plants. Feeding your plants and stuff at the right periods of time when it wants it, and not like making it starve at some points or overfeeding it. Watering it and feeding it right where it needs to be helps them grow, once again, optimal. And one of the products, a lot of products I have are these auto pots. These are 5 gallons here. These are fabric pots. I have 6.6 gallon plastic pots over here, and then I have 3.9 gallon plastic pots over there, all auto pots, and they're all filled with these reservoirs. I add water and then nutrients into these reservoirs. This holds about 12 gallons, and that will last me a week or over a week, depending on what stage I'm in. But anyway, water comes from here, down these hoses, and then into these pots. Inside these pots, there are float valves. These valves right here are not a float valve, it's an aqua valve. And as the fluid comes in, it fills it up, and then after so long, the plant drinks it. It doesn't keep adding water. It doesn't add more water until the water totally empties out of here, giving it a dry cycle. And then after it drinks all the water, it opens up, lets more water in, and basically keeps your plants fed 100% of the time. If it wants it, it takes it, and it can just drink it. And as you guys can already see, there's roots coming in here through the fabric pots and still coming in here. Let's see if any of these other ones are like that. They are. They're starting to. But anyway, every 3 or 4 days, 2 days or so, depending on how much water I put in here, I use King Solomon in my all my auto pots. I do 1 scoop A and B, whether in veg or bloom. It's a 4-bag system. So if you're in veg, you do 1 scoop A and B veg. If you're in bloom, like I'm in bloom, I do 1 scoop A, 1 scoop B per gallon of water. So 5 gallons, and then I'm doing 5 scoops of each. But after that is all mixed up and whatnot, the auto pot is going to do all the rest of the work. I don't have to come down here and hand water any of these. It's going to keep all these plants watered perfectly. So you don't have to worry about your plants being overwatered or underwatered. It is watered perfect. And when they're watered perfect, they tend to do a good job of making big, beautiful plants. Now, when I'm mixing up my nutrients and whatnot for hydro and living cocoa over here, I do my pH at 6.0. For Happy Frog and stuff, I do 6.5 pH. And if you guys have never heard of Happy Frog, it is made by Fox Farm. It is just a very good all-around, all-purpose soil that does a really good job. It's easy. I think where I get it from is $16 a bag. I do know on other places it's like $20 a bag, but it is well worth it. And like I said, I'm also trying out some Living Cocoa Max, Back to Earthworks, and you see it is still doing a great job, because this is Living Cocoa over here. So if you guys want to check out a smaller company and help a family-owned company get some sales and do good, I'm trying to help them out. The products seem great people. So feel free to go check them out. They got soil, cocoa, and all kinds of stuff to regenerate your garden, whether indoors or your actual veggies and fruits and stuff outside. The other setup I have over here is the Hydra Unlimited. This is the Hydra Max Home 4-bucket system. Each one of these buckets hold 8 gallons. It pretty much does all the work. I use Current Culture H2O. It's Cultured Solutions. That is the only people that I put in here, are the only nutrients I put in here. And they also have always done a banging job of keeping these plants very healthy and green and happy. These plants over here are about 2 weeks younger than over here, but I ran out of time and had to flip them, even these ones when they're a little bit younger, because these ones obviously were like this. So I just kind of said I have to flip these ones now, and these ones are what they are, but they're still gonna be great plants. They're starting to stack up very nicely. And then once a week, I was changing my water every once a week, but now I'm doing it maybe like once every 2-3 weeks. And then I'm adding nutrients during the whole entire week, or every day I'm adding nutrients and water. It's about 3 to 4 gallons a day right now. It will get to be more when these are a little bit later in flower, most likely. But I'm just following a feed chart that they provide on their website, and then the hydra and the nutrients grow the plants, along with the good genetics. This tent over here stays at 80 degrees. My humidity is usually around 60 in veg, and then in flower I try to shoot for probably around 40, 45-ish. I did recently start using some CO2. That's CO2, and I got these CO2 XL bags, and that's going to put CO2 into your grow, which does help your plants grow bigger and faster and better, but it's not necessary. I still grew big plants even without that. It's just supposed to make them a little bit better, because even last grow without those, my stalks were still just as big as these ones, if not bigger. Another thing, and I think getting close to one of the last things that I do in order to get big plants, is training. When the plants get the 3 to 5 nodes, I'll start topping, and then after a little bit I'll top them again. But I train these girls in scrog nets. I also use some bud clips to help train and move these branches where I want to. If you spread these branches out and make sure that all your plants is getting light in everywhere, it wants to grow all over the place instead of just growing on top or wherever. It just makes them grow a lot better, especially if you're indoors, because it just makes a nice flat canopy where everything gets even light. And then when everything does get even light, everything kind of grows evenly, and it makes a big giant bush. Now I do add things like mycorrhizal, photosynthesis plus, this T&B enricher. I do add some things here and there just to give the plants extra. Is it necessary? No. Even last grow, I didn't have any of that stuff. I did have the mycorrhizal, which is the fungus that goes into the roots and helps the nutrients uptake and whatnot. So that does help. But they're not necessary what's giving me my big plants. They just help get, well, they do help get bigger plants, but you can do it without it. When in veg, I did also use a little bit of silica. Silica is going to make your plants a little bit stronger, but it doesn't necessarily make them bigger. For my water, I use RO. I had this RO buddy. This thing is $75 on Amazon, or it was. Then I got their little upgraded version of it to extra carbon filter to catch some of the stuff. That way it was just a little bit cleaner, and or save my filter. It's like a pre-filter. And it's more for the calamine or the whatever, and the chlorine. But I use RO water. But I don't think that's, again, a big thing that's going to make me necessarily grow bigger plants. You can not pH your plants and your water, and I've used the hose my outside plant, my first grow, and it still did great. I still had a big stalk. I really think the lighting and a good environment is a good part of it, but genetics is always number one. Defoliating also helps get light down into it for certain parts of the plants and stuff get light, and you get bigger buds and more penetration. Also for lighting, this is a lux meter. It's like the cheaper par meter. It's what I use anyway. And that keeps all my lights the right distance or the right strength, dimmed down or whatever at the right level. That way my lights aren't too bright for the plants and make them get too hot. And you guys should know, there's no secrets here. I'm telling you guys everything that I do and how I get these. But the King Soil makes it super easy. It's going to feed all your macro and micronutrients, and basically everything that your plants need are right here in these bags, or in those bags, because those are the veg, the green ones. Oh, and I did remember that one thing I do when I'm transplanting from my seed tray into the soil or into the pots is that I'll spray the mycorrhizal or dribble it all over where where the roots are going to be. It really gives them a nice head start, healthy root system. It really gives them a nice head start and builds your root system really nice. And this whole entire grow, those are the only products, only things that I have done. There are no secrets. This is what I do. And that's what I use. And that's it. That starts with genetics, good food, good lighting. Lighting is important. I mean, it's all important. So I hope that this helps you guys some way, somehow. At least now you know everything I've done. Not that I'm not showing it daily on what I'm doing, what I'm using, but that is it. That's how simple it is. And I wish you luck. And I hope this helps you guys grow some big, giant plants that you really like.